Hi, it's Crystal. Welcome to Fat Product Review. I'm so excited that you're here, and we're going to talk today to Tyler Risk. We're going to talk all about being a person of size who used to ride a motorcycle and now who rides a reverse trike, three-wheeler. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, they're called
Educate
different things, but yeah.
Okay, you tell us. Educate us. Part of my goal here is to create a repository for all things fat and fabulous. I'm pretty sure that most people of size assume that they can't really be a motorcycle rider. I'm going to interview someone later today about riding horseback. Fat people can do everything that thin people can do. Sometimes we might have to make a few adjustments, but that's what my channel is all about. So I want to hear your story, and I want to share your story with my little corner of the world. So thank you and welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you.
How did you first ever become someone who wanted to ride a motorcycle?
Well, actually, the first time I went on a motorcycle, I was about 22, and I was dating a guy, and that was back in the day where there were no helmet laws or anything like that.
Mm.
And we were going up Bear Creek Road, and we low-sided, meaning the bike slid out on gravel from underneath us, and I got some road rash on my hands and a sprained ankle, but nothing serious. And
Road
after
rash
that,
hurts bad.
yeah, it's not fun. And
Picking
so
out gravel.
yeah, yeah, lovely, uh-huh. We
Hmm.
won't go into debriding, yeah,
Yeah.
not yet. Anyway, so after that, I was never really comfortable on a motorcycle after that, and I'd been on like back of my mom's husband's bike. He had a big gold wing and stuff that it just didn't click. And then fast forward a few years later, I met a guy that I was dating, and he was a fanatic about riding, and so he got me some gear, and I told him my story and how I felt about it, and we took the slowest ride up Highway 9 ever on the face of the earth. I mean, cars were passing us, bicycles were passing us, but to his credit, he kept checking on me. Are you okay? Do we need to go back? How are you feeling?
Well,
And
good
I don't
luck.
know, something, yeah, good for him, because I wouldn't have dated him after that if he hadn't. But
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, he I don't know, something clicked, a switch clicked, and it was the dappled sunlight and the smell of the redwoods and the winding roads, and being out in nature. It's like in a car, you're watching the movie. On a motorcycle, you're in the movie. It's like everything is just right there. It's very sensory. So I rode with him for about 3.5 years, and then he moved back east to be closer to his family. So I took the MSF course because I thought it was easier to get my own bike than any boyfriend. So that's what I did.
Good for you. Now, do you consider yourself to be a person of size back in those days?
But, well, we all have our stigmas, right? I mean, I think I was probably like a size 14, so I still didn't like my body. And just because it's like you want to be the skinny, and like even in the motorcycle industry, you see these women on the bikes with the stilettos and their thong bikinis and stuff, which is exactly what I wear when I go riding.
Seems really safe. It seems very safe
Yeah,
to have all that skin
yeah,
exposed.
exactly. So it took, I didn't think so at the time, but it was a challenge. It's a challenge to find riding gear for larger
I was
size
going
women.
to ask about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And even at a size 14, it was a challenge, especially in stores. So a lot of times you have to order stuff online, and then you get it, you try it on, it doesn't fit, you have to ship it back, so there's that whole it's kind of a pain in the butt. And they only make gear up to about an 18, which is where I'm at right now. So
Still
it's sort
today.
of like beyond that, it's really hard for larger women. You have to get custom gear. They have a company called Aerostitch that custom makes gear and things like that. But it's expensive, and they are also making something called jeggings. They're like the fabric is like reinforced
Oh,
denim, and they have knee pads and hip
yeah.
pads and stuff like that. And those you can get custom made for different sizes and things like that.
I'm
So
going to put all that in the
um,
show notes in case someone gets inspired to become a
yeah, yeah,
person who
if you
wants to ride on a motorcycle.
sure, yeah.
So,
Yeah, so then I started a women's writing group,
oh,
because when I first started writing by myself, I was looking for other women to ride with, but all the groups seemed to have some sort of, absolutely no men, women only. They were sexuality based, they were brand based, they were, and it's like, I don't care who you ride, I don't care what you ride, it's that
Hmm.
you ride. And some women like to ride what's called pillion, which is in the back seat is called the pillion seat. So,
Okay. Hmm.
and so, if it was women only riding their own bikes, they wouldn't be able to be, participate in rides and things. And I don't think that's fair. I think if you ride, you ride. So I started my own group. It's called Dangerous Curves. And
Great name.
yeah, we started that. Gosh, I think it's been about 15 years now, maybe a little bit more. And started doing day rides and kind of started out in the cruiser world, the Harley, gatherings and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And as I, transitioned more into sport touring, which is more long distance and not the iron butt kind of long distance, which is like, thousands of miles in a few days and things like that, but just more touring other states and, multiple day rides and things like that. So kind of segued into that instead. And then 11 years ago, I was on my first really big ride to a friend's place in Wyoming. And I was in Cary, Idaho, and we'd been following a big semi truck. And had been trying to pass, but there's too much traffic and couldn't get around, and came to a T intersection. And he was sitting at the intersection. I didn't see any turn signals or brake lights. I didn't hear the engine running. I thought maybe he broke down or he was waiting for us to go around. So I kind of edged out around to the left side of the truck, and I thought he looked in the mirror at me, and I started to edge up along the side of the truck to, ask what was going on. It was like a 2-lane
Okay.
highway kind of thing. And he didn't see me and started his left-hand turn, knocked over the bike, and ran over me and the
Whew.
bike. Yeah.
What kind of
Um,
gear? What kind of gear were you wearing then? Were you wearing like leathers or?
I was wearing textile gear. But really, there's no gear that's gonna really save you from much injury when you get run over by a semi. So, but yeah, he didn't see me. But it's like I had all these things that happen, like the fire chief of Cary, Idaho, just happened to be off duty and just happened to be at the gas station right on the corner where the accident happened. So he was my first responder, and he was there within 60 seconds. His name was Dennis Patterson. He had short white hair, and he was always stood between me and the sun, so he had a little halo of light with his
Oh,
short
yeah,
white hair.
your
So
angel.
yeah, he was my angel, one of many. And so he was there, and they responded, and then I got life flighted to St. Alphonsus in uh, Boise, which has a trauma unit, and I had a pelvic fracture and severe degloving injuries on my legs, which is it's kind of gross, but it's the skin is rotated off, skin and tissue. So I've had, I spent 2 weeks at St. Alphonsus, and then they life flighted me back to Valley Valley Medical Center here in Santa Clara, San Jose. And I spent 2.5 months in the burn unit, getting grafts and things like that. About 75% of my legs are grafted. And then a month in spinal rehab downstairs. And then I was out for a while, went back in for one more last grafting surgery, and then came back out. So
How many years
um,
ago was that accident?
just a little over 11 years.
Wow, wow.
Yeah. So, but
Jeez.
I don't recommend it, but there was a lot of silver linings that happened to it, because I do believe, people say everything happens for a reason, and I don't believe that. Sometimes shit just happens,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
it's how we deal with it that's important. And out of those horrible things can come the silver linings. And so there have been a lot of silver linings in all of this. So,
If you have an attitude to look for the beauty in things, you can find it even in the most horrible shit.
well, somebody asked me, did you have the epiphany? Did you see God? Did you, have that,
Towards the light.
kind of, yeah. And I said, no, it more accentuated what I do believe is that we're all connected. And I don't know exactly how to define it. People call it God or Buddha or Allah or the Great Pumpkin or whatever it is that you believe in. But we all have a connection through energy and spirit, and I would not be here without that. And you know, I just had some experiences. It's hard to explain, but I just had some experiences where I know what I felt and I know what was there, and it's pretty amazing. So yeah.
Can be, especially when you're surrounded by so many healers and stuff too, right? There's a lot going on at
Yeah.
those healing
Yeah.
units.
Yeah. I called my nurses were my earth angels. They were just, they laughed with me. They cried with me. They kicked me in the ass when I needed it. You know,
They
they
are like
just,
angels on earth. It's like
yeah.
teachers are angels on earth too.
Yep, yep. There's a lot of them. So I was very blessed, and the nurses at the burn unit are just incredible, and the doctors are great too. But the nurses are the ones that do the lion's share of the day to
They
day,
do all the
taking
hard work,
and cleaning things and all that fun stuff.
dirty work, and they're the ones that know how to plug in all the plugs. There's like 25 plugs on one machine and 100 plugs on another machine. I don't think the doctors could ever figure that out. But
Yeah.
first of all, I'm so happy that you're still here and that you're still kicking. I know you're still writing, but have you seen, like, I don't see larger writers very often, but when I do, I'm like, I want to be like, woo, woo, you know. But have you seen like more in the last years, more people size writing, less,
There,
more, about the
yeah,
same?
there's lots of, you know, I would say there's probably more people of size that are writing that aren't.
That
You
would
know,
make sense. 70% of the population is a person of size, you know. So
exactly. And, you know, both men and women, you know, like I said, the motorcycle industry does these, you know, pictures of these little teeny tiny petite women, which, you know, and there's some women that are like that too, and they kick ass, you know. It's like,
oh yeah, oh yeah.
there's this one gal, I think she's 5 foot tall, and she's got a big BMW GS adventure bike,
Hmm.
and she can't touch the ground when
Oh,
she's on it. So she like hops off on the side and stands there. And then when she starts to give it the throttle, she just pops back on and go, you know, if there's a will, there's a way.
how
And
do you know,
uh,
like, how heavy can the largest person be? Do you know, like, bikes must have some kind of maximum? Do they have that?
you know, I don't know. I've never really looked into it. I ride currently, I ride a Can-Am Spyder, which is, it's a 3-wheel. It's got 2 in the front and 1 in the back. So they call it a reverse trike. So it looks kind of like a Y.
I just need
Um,
one more wheel and I'll be fine. I'll be comfortable. I need four.
Yeah, no, it's just, you know, my balance isn't really great since the accident, and I had so much damage to my legs. I personally can't take that chance of having something else happen. So,
Having it fall on you.
so yeah, or yeah, I mean, even just a simple tip over could be really bad for, you know, my legs, and the skin's very delicate now that it's
Sure.
grafted and everything.
Yeah.
So I got to take care of it. I got a second chance. So
Right. Yeah. Is
they
it
want
true,
to,
like, as far as riding a motorcycle, is it true that, like, I've heard this thing before where if you can't move it, you shouldn't ride it? Like, if you lay it down, if you can't put it back up on upright, you shouldn't be riding that bike. Is that true?
no.
No?
No, I mean, there are ways to pick up the bike. You know, there's different techniques and things like that, and I've seen, you know, really small women pick up a big touring bike and stuff, so it can be done. But it's like, I can't tell you how. I think everybody that I ever know that has ever ridden 2 wheels has dropped their bike at some point in time. You know, they
I
forgot
think
to put the
so.
kickstand down, or it was tilted too far, or the wind blew it over, or something. You know, it just,
Parked on an angle.
yeah, it just, that's just part of riding is, you know, yeah, you drop your bike and oh crap, and usually you're with people and they all come running over and give you a shitload of
Give you a
ton
bunch of
of shit.
shit, right?
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
help.
you dork. You feel
That's
stupid
awesome.
for a little while, but you get over it. But
Everybody
um,
has, happens to everybody.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
but yeah, it's, and you just learn to be humble and say, oops,
yeah.
okay, that,
Um,
yeah.
does your writing group is called Dangerous Curves? Is there, like, is there a place where people can find more information about it if they want to learn more about it?
Well, currently I have a Facebook page, which is,
Okay.
I think it's Dangerous Curves of Northern California, women's
Oh,
writing group. And then we also have a meetup page, but I'm on the fence about whether to continue that, just because most people are on the Facebook page and it costs money to be on Meetup.
yeah, it's like 20 bucks a
So
month, right? Or something, 25. It gets a little,
it's like $200 a year, I think.
It's too
is
much.
the total. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think
So
I closed out all my meetups, but I had just, I'm sure there are women out there, especially women of size, that are like, I really want to try it, but they might feel super intimidated. But like going to a group like yours, where you're going to be very warm and welcoming, and maybe you can educate and help them to understand where to buy gear. You said it was called Arrow Stitch, right? They might have gear. You might have to get custom gear. Like I'm sure they have a million questions. They just want to ask somebody that knows, that's going to be
yeah,
humble and kind.
yeah, absolutely.
What are the ages of the people that ride with you on dangerous curves?
Varying ages. I would say mostly probably anywhere between at this point 35 to 65.
Okay,
I
cool.
mean, not real young people. The industry's kind of slowed down a lot. People are into other things or not buying the motorcycles and stuff like that. So we tend to be a little bit older that when we're riding together, which is fine because tend to be a little wiser too.
Yeah, that's what I
Um,
was thinking. I think you want to be around people who are very wise, that have lots of experience riding a motorcycle before you get, because it seems very intimidating to me. But I'm not a super brave person. I'm not really like, I'm a risk taker, that kind of risk taker. I'll take other risks, like starting new businesses that might not work. But as far as like physical things, I'm not very much of a risk taker. So they've always scared me. But is your group mostly, are they women of size? And do you identify with the word fat, by the way? Are you out as a fat person?
I don't consider myself fat. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm just me,
yeah,
so it's just I am who I am kind of thing. And this is the packaging. So there you go.
lovely.
Yeah.
Is the group mostly people with dangerous curves?
Um, I mean, everybody is different. You know, like I said, I've got some gals who are very tiny and petite and some gals who are larger and everything in between.
Cool.
So,
That's nice.
and, it's,
Like life.
yeah, basically.
That's what I
And,
like.
the gents ride with us too. And, like I let the boys ride with us as long as they behave.
Right.
So,
That's
but it's
gentleman.
again, I don't care. I don't care what anyone's sexual preference is. I don't care, if you like Honda over BMW. None of that matters. It's like, it's about riding and it's about being out in nature and seeing amazing things. I've been able to, in the past 10 years or so since I got the Spyder, it's a Can-Am Spyder with a Y. But I've been to Canada, I've been to Mexico, I've been all over the Western US. I actually bought a second one on the East Coast. And past 6 years or so, I go over a couple times a year and ride out there. So the world's an amazing place, and whenever people start to get, especially nowadays, it's like, oh my God, everybody's horrible, people are terrible, and I just have to remind them, you have to get off of your computer, off of the news, and
Mhm.
go out into the world and meet these people and meet other people and see other places, because I can't. I've been to all kinds of communities, Black communities, white communities, Mormon communities, just everything. And people are lovely,
Sure. Yeah.
99% of the time, people are lovely. Yeah, you get a cranky one once in a while, but
That might be
that's
me.
life.
Sometimes I'm grumpy.
Yeah,
Um,
me
I
too.
would
Me
think
too.
that it feels very free, right? I mean, that's what I always think of when I think of people on a motorcycle. They want that freedom feeling, that feeling of being, like you said, a part of the movie, is being, part of the movie. That seems like
Yep.
that's something that's common for all people that ride bikes, ride motorcycles.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to describe, but and there are people get it from other things, hiking or
Sure. Hmm.
bicycling, or,
Hmm.
it's not like, oh, motorcycling is the do all end
Yeah.
all. It's like, that's what
Hmm.
does it for me. But I know that there are other things that do it for other people, but it's just that connection with everything around you, feeling the sun on your face and the wind in your hair, and all those sort of amazing things, and being connected with the world, and that energy and spirit I was talking about before. I mean, it goes all over. It's not just, you and me, it's everywhere. So
Right.
yeah, for me, that it really kind of it accentuates that. It brings it out more.
I'm sure it does. Yeah. What about helmet hair? How do you deal with helmet head?
You just deal with it. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, I have short hair, so it's not quite as, much of an issue. And a lot of gals with long hair just, they pull it back in a
Bit of ponytail,
ponytail.
yeah.
Or they wear what's called a do-rag, kind of like a
Under,
little helmet cap kind of thing underneath, just to help keep the hair flat. But it's like people go, oh, riding a motorcycle must be so sexy, and it's like, okay, you're wearing like gear that makes you look like a football player. You're wearing helmet head. You could be sweating, or you could be, drenched from being in the rain, or it's like it's a different kind of sexy.
yeah, for sure. But you feel like when you ride with somebody else on their bike, don't you feel like zero control?
When you're on somebody else's bike, you mean
On the back
riding
of
as
their
a passenger? I do now. I didn't when I first started riding, because
right.
that's all I knew. And so when I was riding with Al, that's all I really knew. But then once I got, I took the MSF course. It's the Motorcycle Safety Foundation course. I can give you a link to that. And it's basically a 3-day course where you do classroom, and then they have the bikes for you. And I think they even have helmets, and you just need to bring, like some leather boots and, some sort of jacket, heavy jacket. And that way you can try the bikes and see if it's something you do like before you invest, thousands of dollars in a bike and gear and boots and a helmet and all that sort of stuff. So I highly recommend people do that first before they just jump into it. But once I took that course and I got out of the course, I went, okay, that was fun. I was not expecting. I took it so I'd be a better passenger, so I'd understand the workings of the bike, or if something happened and I needed to limp the bike down to get help or something like that. It was more kind of that sort of situation, and instead I just like, that was cool.
Got you, huh?
So, yeah.
Doug gets hands into you. I'm fully going to look up the kind of bike you have. You said it's a Spyder with a Y, right?
Yep.
I don't know if I've ever seen one out in the wild, but I'm totally going to look it up, because that sounds like I might be able to do. Might be able to do that one.
They've been out for a while, and I'm always surprised at how much attention it still gets when I'm out. People are like, what is that? And I've never seen anything like that, or I've only seen it on commercials or whatever it is. But they're starting to become more, I guess, more well known, and as riders are aging, and their knees are going bad, and hips and back and stuff like that, so they're looking for other options. So the Spyder's become a little bit more accepted in the motorcycling world. It's not, it's not a real bike.
Right. I wonder if I'm going to look it up too, if those Spyders have a weight limit, because I just love the idea that people of size can do pretty much anything and everything we want to do. And that includes riding a motorcycle or riding a Spyder, right? It's possible, people, and we get told so much of the time, oh, you can't do that. You should stay, wear all black and stay hiding in the corner. And most of my fat friends don't want to do that. They want to live out loud. And I think riding a motorcycle is really a way to live out loud. And I want more fatties to be able to do that if they want to do. And I want them to have the information. So thank you so much, Heather. So awesome. So lovely, full of information that I would never in a million years think of. So I'm so glad that we met via Fat Brunch.
I know, right? And I just joined because Jen, who I work with and stuff, she was like, can you follow along, see if there's anything I should. So I've just sort of been silently stalking you and like, oh, here's something and here's something. And so, so then I thought, oh, I better friend Crystal. So
I'm so glad you did.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Thank you, Tyler. I really appreciate that. When I have this all out with all the notes and stuff, I'll share it with you. If you're watching today and you want to watch more of our videos, be sure we have some fat video. We have some fat skateboarding and all kinds of fun stuff. And if you have an idea that you want to send to me, you can send me an email to fatproductreview@gmail.com. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe to my page. Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you, Crystal.
Take care. Bye.